2026 Broomfield City Council meeting. Information on how to watch, attend, and participate, as well as agendas, minutes, and recordings can be found on Broomfield's website at broomfield.org/council meetings. Public comment is welcome in person or through our call-in service. Instructions for calling in are available on the council meetings webpage. Public comment will be limited to 90 minutes total per item. The first 1 through 15 participants in the queue have 3 minutes to speak. The next 16 through 25 have 2 minutes, and if time remains, the next 26 plus participants have 1 minute to speak. For our hard of hearing residents present, we have wireless headsets available through our AV team in the back of the council chambers. The council regular meeting is called to order. Councilmember Delgadillo is attending remotely, and there are 10 council members in attendance. A quorum of the council is present. We begin this meeting by acknowledging that we gather on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, Ute, and other Native peoples. Indigenous peoples have cared for this land for generations and continue to maintain deep cultural and spiritual ties to it. As the city and county of Broomfield, we recognize the responsibility to honor this legacy and the enduring presence of Native communities. May this acknowledgement inspire action that fosters greater understanding, truth, and respect for Indigenous peoples. Will everyone please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And in order to keep, an effort to keep order for tonight's meeting, I ask council members to limit their comments to 5 minutes. If council members are given an opportunity to speak for a second time, they should limit their comments to 2 minutes. And we'll plan on a 10-minute break at approximately 8 p.m. We'll begin with council's review and approval of this evening's agenda. Council may add or remove items from the consent agenda, or council may revise the order of business for the meeting. Does any member of the council have any comments or questions regarding this evening's agenda? Are there any objections to this agenda being approved? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. There are no items under petitions and communications this evening, so we'll move on to council member reports. Does any member of the council have any reports or updates this evening? I'm not seeing any, so we'll move on. Now is public comment. We will now continue with public comment and an opportunity for the public to comment on matters other than the items already listed on the agenda. If there's anyone who would like to be heard, please come up to the podium, state your name and neighborhood for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Roxy Jula Lackamore. I have a question. I'm curious, and nobody ever seems to be able to answer me that I need to. What happened to our Bronco money? Was it ever used? Is it being used? Have you made a decision? So whatever happened to that money? That's somebody can get back with me. Thank you. Bye.
We will. Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right. Continuing on the report section, the only item under reports this evening is an update on the 2025 audit and review of the 2025 comprehensive financial report. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize. What? Oh, you wanted public comment. I'm so sorry, sir.
It's okay. I
Please.
took a second.
That's okay.
My name is Scott Tackett, and I live in the Broomfield Heights neighborhood. And I would like to read a letter drafted by members of our community regarding an incident that happened 2 Fridays ago. Esteemed members of the council and Your Honor, Mrs. Mayor, and to all those present tonight, good evening and nice to see you all. This is a community letter from the residents of Broomfield Heights. We are writing as the undersigned residents of Broomfield Heights, heartbroken by the loss of our neighbor, friend, and trusted ally, Morris Selden, who was killed in a police shooting. Morris was neurodivergent, but above all, he was our friend and neighbor. Many of us knew him by name, by sight, or simply as a familiar face in the neighborhood. Many neighborhood children knew Morris and loved him dearly. He was sweet and kind and often gave them hugs, kisses, and generally just was a lovely individual to young children. Many of us have come to recognize the warm glow of the candles in their windows. They became one of those small, familiar things that quietly make a neighborhood feel like home. Neighborhoods are built on the quiet familiarity of everyday life. A wave across the street, a familiar face on a walk, a light in a neighbor's window. Morris was part of that fabric. His loss is being felt throughout our community. Our hearts are with his mother, sisters, cousins, nephews, uncles, and with everyone who loved Morris and is grieving this unimaginable loss. Our community deserves a full understanding of what happened, but even more importantly, we deserve confidence that every reasonable effort is made to preserve life, even when officers are interacting with people experiencing disabilities, crisis, or other communication differences. We appreciate that this incident has been referred to an independent investigation. That process must be thorough, transparent, and followed by meaningful action if it identifies failures in policy, training, or decision-making. We also recognize that law enforcement officers are often called into difficult and rapidly evolving situations. That is precisely why thorough training, effective de-escalation, accountability, and a commitment to continuous improvement are so important. We are deeply concerned by witness reports that Marilyn, Morris's mother, may have been struck by police gunfire during the incident. As body cam footage and 911 calls are being released, it is becoming more and more apparent that this was a very sketchy situation. Any use of deadly force that may have resulted in injury to a bystander raises serious questions about tactics, decision-making, and public safety that deserve careful examination through the independent investigation. As residents of Broomfield Heights and the city and county of Broomfield, we respectfully ask that the city release all relevant information, including body cam footage, as soon as legally possible. Make the findings of the independent investigation public, and review whether department policies regarding crisis intervention, neurodiversity awareness, and de-escalation were followed. Publicly report what policy, training, or procedural changes will be implemented as a result of this investigation, and hold those responsible accountable if policies or professional standards were violated. Transparency is essential, but transparency is not enough. If the investigation identifies opportunities for improvement, we ask that the city act on them and communicate those changes to the public. We all want a Broomfield where every resident, including people who are not neurodivergent or experiencing a mental health crisis, is treated with dignity, patience, and humanity. We hope this tragedy becomes a turning point, not because it can erase what happened or bring Morris back, but because every lesson learned and every improvement made has the potential to help prevent another family and another neighborhood from experiencing such profound and tragic loss. Sincerely, the members of the Broomfield Heights neighborhood. Thank you.
Anyone else like to be heard? Well, moving on to the report section. The only item under reports is an update on the 2025 audit and review of the annual comprehensive financial report. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, community and council. I do believe that Mr. Clark, our finance director, is going to introduce the auditor, and we do have a brief presentation. Mr. Clark, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Council, Mayor Pro Tem. This is the fiscal year 25 annual audit that is done each year as required by code. This was done in the spring, and we have Brittany Burns here from Eide Bailey, who will be giving a presentation tonight on the fiscal year 25 audit and the single audit as well, which is also known as the CFA. So with that, I'll bring up Brittany. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me here this evening to present the results of the 2025 audit of the City and County of Broomfield. As Graham mentioned, my name is Brittany Burns. I have been the manager on the engagement for the last 2 years, and I'm presenting on behalf of Janine Hathcock, our audit engagement partner. Next slide, please. So we have a brief agenda here that we're going to go over this evening. First, the financial statement audit, and for the results of that, I will direct you to the ACFR to look at that in depth, including our auditor's opinion. And then I'm going to be spending some time discussing the single audit reporting package, and then finally the letter to governance, which is our letter to council at conclusion of our audit. Next slide. And before we get into the results of the audit, I just wanted to mention briefly some upcoming new GASB implementations. For the last few years, we've had a new GASB almost every year that the team has implemented during the audit period and done a great job with that. So the next two upcoming are GASB 103 and 104, and those will be effective for this next upcoming audit year, 12/31/26. Next slide. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time discussing the single audit package because this is where most of our reporting can be found. And before I get into that, I just want to thank Roxy and Graham and the whole finance team for doing such a great job throughout the course of the audit. It was really a successful audit, and we couldn't have done that without the help from the entire finance team. So next slide. So here we have two different reports in our audit package for the single audit. The first report is our report on financial statement internal controls. This is on page 201 of the PDF. And the main thing to understand here with this report is that it is a report and it is not an opinion. The main takeaway from this report is that we're required to consider controls for planning and performing our audit. However, we do not test those controls, and therefore this is why we can't express an opinion over the city and county's controls. Now, we are required to communicate any deficiencies that we identify during our audit that are identified as either significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal control. And here, as you see on the right side, we did have one material weakness in internal controls that we identified during the course of our audit. And this related to adjusting journal entries that were found during the audit procedures. So next slide. And then our second report within the single audit package is called the Uniform Guidance Report. And this is our opinion over compliance related to the city and county's major federal award programs. And we had 4 programs that we tested this year in the single audit. So the first paragraph in this report states that we audited the compliance with the OMB compliance supplement. This is a federal document that we audit to. And then the next is our opinion. So we are happy to report that we had a clean, also known as unmodified opinion on all 4 of those programs that we audited this year. And so that is the best opinion that you can get on all of those programs. And then the second page of this report describes both the management and auditor responsibilities during the course of the audit. And the final page of the report includes a report saying, again, that we considered internal controls over compliance areas to determine our testing procedures, and that for the city and county's major federal award programs, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal controls over any of the 4 programs that were tested. Next slide. So here we have the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, also known as the CFA for short. And so the purpose of this statement or schedule is to summarize the city and county's annual federal expenditures from federal awards. So applicable in fiscal year 2025, a new threshold of $1 million of spending requires a single audit. And we've kind of outlined the last 3 years of the city and county's federal award spending. And you can see they were well above that for each of the 3 years and steadily increasing year over year, which is due to the spending down of the ARPA funds that were received several years ago. Next slide, please. Here, the summary of auditors' results. This is one of my favorite pages in the audit, if you will, because if you want to just get, a quick overview of what were the results of the audit, this is the page I would direct you to. So it kind of has 2 sections. The top section is all of the financial statement audit results, and then the bottom section is our federal awards or single audit results. And as you can see, we had an unmodified opinion on the financial statement. We did have a material weakness identified, as I mentioned, no non-compliance for financial statements. And then for federal awards, unmodified opinion on all of the programs and no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses reported. And then at the very bottom are the names of the 4 federal programs that we audited for 2025. Next slide, please. And then lastly, I'm just going to go over the communication with governance. So this is kind of our final closing piece of the audit. We were required by auditing standards to send out a communication to governance at the end of our audit. So this report states a few different things. Firstly, that we complied with all professional standards, including ethical requirements during the completion of our audit. It summarizes all significant risks and estimates that we address throughout the course of our audit with our audit procedures. It mentions some significant disclosures that we call out in the communication, and then you can find these disclosures in the footnotes of the financial statements. We did identify some corrected as well as uncorrected misstatements during the audit. So corrected misstatements means that they were brought to the attention of management and they corrected them and they are showing in the final ACFR. And then uncorrected misstatements means that management determined that individually and in the aggregate, these uncorrected amounts were not material to the financial statements, so therefore they were not posted into the 2025 financial results. And then lastly, we are happy to report that there were no disagreements or difficulties encountered when dealing with management during the course of the audit, and it was a great process overall. And that is it for me. So we'll open it up to questions.
Thank you very much for the update. We'll move to public comments next. If anyone would like to be heard on this item, please make your way to the podium. Then we'll go to council questions. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Councilmember Henkel.
Thank you, Mayor. Just something that caught my eye on the very front sheet of our memo. It just said that the auditors have expressed an unqualified opinion. I don't understand that. Why is it called unqualified? On the very front summary page of our memo, it said the 2025 financial records were made available to the audit review and all audit fieldwork has been completed. The auditors have expressed an unqualified opinion on the financial statement.
Yep, so unqualified, also known as unmodified opinion, that is essentially the best opinion you can get as a result of the audit. So it means that, you know, we didn't have to qualify the opinion because there was a certain, you know, aspect of the financial statements that we weren't able to audit due to missing information or anything like that. So unqualified / unmodified, the best opinion that you can receive.
Okay. It's very confusing to me. I'm like, why is it unqualified? I would want a
Yeah,
qualified
so,
opinion.
yeah, qualified would mean that, you know, everything is good except for this one thing that was qualified. Yeah. So it's kind
Interesting.
of counterintuitive, the wording.
This is why I'm not in your business. Many reasons why. And then it just said, it stated that errors resulting in an understatement of amounts previously reported for capital assets were discovered by management during the current year. What was that error?
That was in relation to some CIP projects that were not recorded in 2024 and were discovered by management during the year. Graham, do you want to add more?
Yeah, largely around some of the fiber costs. When we were bringing that asset into our capital, we missed that last year.
Okay, and so what was the difference for that?
I think it was $1.5 million or so, and we just put it on for this year.
Okay, so that added to our budget for this year?
It's not a budget thing. It's just a capitalized item. So we obviously got a new asset, but we didn't classify it as a new asset. And we did it this year. Is basically what that
I
means.
think it was an expense
Yeah.
previously, right?
Yeah.
Expense previously, okay. And then is there any upkeep on it? Is that what would change in the future as far as budget goes, do you think, or?
No, it has, I mean, it's a new asset. It's a new fiber asset. So, you know, it will have some maintenance down the line, but it's brand new. So we won't have any for a while.
Okay. That's part of our asset management system now.
We're in the
Separate from
process
mobile.
of, yes, it's an asset on our books right now. We're in the process of getting a new asset management system right after we go forward with the ERP. And so that's where it will kind of get coordinated with our ERP, and we'll start looking at capital assets a little bit better in that way.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go online next to Councilmember Delgadillo.
Great, thank you, Mayor. I have one just very broad question, which is that GASB is currently, they had public comment a little while ago, but they had proposed a few changes to some of those ACFR documents and how infrastructure is presented. Do we anticipate any additional challenges, anything we'll have to do differently? Are we planning for that in ensuring that we can still write a great ACFR document?
Yeah, very good question, Councilmember Delgadillo. That is on the GASB for 2026. So at the end of the year, we will have to make some reporting adjustments, but we don't anticipate it being too cumbersome. And we will definitely make the changes that GFOA comes out with once those get released.
Okay, looking forward to those. And I'm excited about the changes too. I think GASB has really proposed some great changes, but that's just my opinion. So that was my only question. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Councilmember Peterson.
On page 87 of the paper document, or 114 of the electronic document, there's note 19 about a correction of error, where there were some activities that weren't reported properly in 24, so they were moved over to 25. And I'm just wondering if there's anything that's been done to make sure that those kinds of errors don't happen again.
Yeah, that's again regarding the fiber costs.
Yeah.
And you know, those were brand new. We will definitely, we have put together a correction
Oh,
I think it's in the memo as well, but we do have corrective action that we will put forward on that one.
okay. And it did look like there was a couple of numbers transposed there, but I can show that to you later.
Okay. no
Okay.
worries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from my colleagues before we move on? Not seeing any. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening and for the report. Are there any other reports? We'll now continue. City Manager Hoffman, did you have a report?
I do this evening. Danae Brewyard is going to come down and share with council and the community some refresh, reset, and easily navigable for our website, making it easier. And thank you to Councilmember Twist for, during those one-on-ones, really prompted some of the creativity in order to bring us to this point. So we're grateful for that. Thank you. Ms. Brewyard.
Thank you. Thank you, Manager Hoffman, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. Danae Brilliard with the City Manager's Office. And we're excited tonight to provide just a brief update on some of the enhancements that we've been able to make over the last few weeks. As Manager Hoffman mentioned, they've been based off feedback that we've received from Councilmember Twist, also some feedback that we've received from Councilmember Cohen over the past, and the mayor around how our residents are navigating the website, finding the information, and making sure that as things change and how people access information changes, that we're also adapting and changing our approach to be relevant and timely for the community. So James, if you'll go ahead and let me share my screen. I'm going to give you a real-time update of the changes. We tested it, so hopefully this goes as well as the practice round. Okay, let's see, share. All right, perfect. So we're going to start off with a couple of things that I want to mention. This was a collaborative effort with the clerk's office as well as the communications team, and something that we'll continue to iterate throughout time and come back and look at how do we continue to make these updates based on the feedback that we're receiving. Also with our native website vendor, which you can see up here on the screen, we do have some data now to look where clicks are happening, where their paths are breaking as they move through the website, so that we can address that. If you recall, during the focus session in February, we shared with you all that we have purchased a software that will do an inventory and audit of our website and essentially tell us you have outdated documents, or maybe you have 3 copies of this PDF, which one is the actual one? This PDF is not accessible, you need to update it. And so our communication team is working with all departments across the organization to complete that inventory right now. And one of the best parts about the program is then it creates a trickle. So once we do this huge inventory and update, there will be a trickle that monitors our website. So as departments add new information, if that PDF is not accessible, or maybe it's duplicative of something already out there, we'll get a notice and a daily report that says, hey, heads up, you need to come back and revisit that, so that our website can stay up to date and all of those changes that are made stay effect moving forward. So we did a multi-pronged approach. So what you can see up on the screen, I'm going to talk about 3 different changes that we made. One, to our broomfield.org council website. So all the changes that you're going to hear tonight are related to council and the council meeting and how residents find agendas and interact with upcoming meetings. I do want to give a little highlight that the communications team is working on a full website refresh. We will give an update to council on that later in 2026. So more to come, but these were items that we could fix right now that we wanted to get before you all. So first up, you can see is the broomfield.org council webpage. So one of the first things we changed, and this was from Mayor Castriata's feedback, was with us being a city manager form of government, operational concerns come to city staff, and we can triage them quickly when they come directly to staff. And so we had created a report a concern or submit a question button, but it was buried at the very bottom. And so I know for many of you, you've served as kind of the middle person to then send them on to staff. And I'm not saying that residents cannot still reach out to you all, but if you do have an operational concern, that button is right there at the very top of the pages so that you can see it. Submit it, we get it as staff, we can triage it and make sure it gets to the correct subject matter experts, and then we can get it resolved. In addition to that, if you scroll down on the page, we made a couple of enhancements. So we were hearing feedback that there were kind of two separate systems, our website, and then we had the agenda systems, and they weren't really overlapping or intersecting with each other. And we wanted to make sure that however you were getting to that information, you could find council meeting information regardless of your pathway. So what we've added here is this upcoming council meeting and agenda calendar. So this is on your council webpage. I'm going to nerd out for just a second because I think it's really exciting, but you can move through the months. You can see past meetings, and if you click forward, you can see future upcoming meetings. So it gives a nice snapshot of what you all have coming down the pike. And then you'll also see on the right-hand side, and it does adjust based off your calendar view, but you can see the upcoming 3 meetings. And so one of the benefits here for residents and for council trying to access information is if you click on that council meeting, so we'll use tonight's meeting, for example, it opens up right to the information, and you can open the agenda for this specific meeting from there. So I know previously there were 4 or 5 or 6 clicks to get to there. Now it's just the one click, open up the meeting, and then you can open up that specific agenda. So hopefully, again, improving access and access for residents. One other thing I would mention is our agendas are not available until the Wednesday prior, as you are all familiar. And so I do want to just show this example of Tuesday, July 21st. So that agenda comes out tomorrow. If you click on that, you'll see that it directs them to the general agenda management system. So again, all the meetings can be out there, and then we will update it as agendas become available on that Wednesday. So those are the 2 big changes to the broomfield.org council page. In addition to that, you may be familiar that we have some council web pages around meetings and how to participate. We've went through and reviewed all of this. It used to be, if you have come to this page, I think it was 13 or 14 pages long and printed. And now it's really short and condensed with clear links of what residents need to know of how to engage in meetings, how to submit comments, whether written or verbally during meetings, how to access past meeting documents, et cetera, is all right here. So a one-stop shop. And then again, we do have a deeper dive if people really want to get into the process. We do break down, decorum, what an ordinance is and that. So again, shortened version, you can get the information you want, and you can dive down and drill down more if wanted, just to make sure that our residents have the information they need. Moving on, the second place that we have made changes this evening is to Agenda Link. And so Agenda Link is how you all access your memos and your agendas and how the public sees what's coming in the future. So if you see on the screen right now, previously it used to pull up in a calendar form, and the times were kind of wonky and you could only see so far out. This now has been updated to this format where you can see the most immediate upcoming meetings up here at the top in green. And then if you scroll down, all the other meetings for the calendar year are there. One of the benefits of this new platform is it's mobile device friendly. So if you're trying to work from your mobile device, you can see all of those meetings on your screen. Probably the greatest benefit that we wanted to highlight are 2 things. One is we've been asked about having a shareable PDF that you could share with your constituents. You can see here for these meetings, so for example, for tonight, July 14th, there's this agenda link button. If you open that, it opens the agenda in Agenda Link. If we were to go back, there's a new item here, which is this PDF. And if you open that up, it creates a PDF of the agenda, and the link at the top is shareable. So if you did want to share it with anybody, you can share that information with your residents as you see fit. In addition, the next thing we want to highlight, let me just go back to this improved agenda link, is the search function. And this, we actually were not aware was not working on the public side, and have spent a lot of time with the vendors to get this corrected. So up here at the top, you can now put in, so I'm going to use parking as an example, as that was one that came in as a request. The search function does work now. So you can put in your key terms, and you can see on the screen all of those items that have that item in the subject or in a sub-subject will pull up. These are clickable links. So you can see it tells you the meeting date, if it was a study session, if it was a business item. When you click on that item to open it up, you will get everything for that. So you get the memo, you get the video, all in one package. So when you're looking at past council action now, you can find that in the system and be able to reference it. All right. Last but not least, I just want to highlight too in this system is if you look at the meeting happening right now with this new visual, it also shows watch on the right-hand side. I don't know if you recall, it was a couple clicks to be able to watch a council meeting. So now they go to one stop and they can access everything that they need for a meeting, including watching this meeting live tonight. Okay, and that's it for Agenda Link. The last item we just wanted to share then is we've made some improvements to the memos and the agendas as well. So up on the screen, you're going to see the memo template that you will all see for council items moving forward. So our next meeting is next Tuesday. The agenda goes out tomorrow. You will see the template in this format, so residents as well. Some of the things we learned as we reviewed is we didn't have meeting dates on our memos, and sometimes memos don't print in the full package and then they get lost. And so we've added meeting date just to be very clear of what that item and what meeting it ties back to. And then some of the feedback we've heard from council is some of our memos are very long, and we've even heard in recent meetings of, what is the ask of council tonight? Are we approving something? Is this an information update? And so we have moved to the top. So if you recall in our current memo structure, the ask of council is kind of buried on page 1 or 2 or 3, depending on the length of the memo. We've moved that right up top, so it says council action needed on item. And you'll see that example there. And so regardless of what the ask is, if it's there's no action needed, this is information only on this subject, it will state that. If it's we need action on this resolution, it will put it there. And so the hope is for you all and for our residents, when you open up a memo, right up there, bottom line up front, you know what the memo is and what the ask of you is in that item, in that review for that council meeting. And last but not least is sharing this information. So some of the feedback we've received is we have it on our website, but how do people find this information? And so starting with the study session next week, the communications team will start sharing agendas on our social media feeds. So I put on the screen just a mock-up example that the comms team put together. But this is what you'll see going out, and it has that link again going back. It allows you to share it or highlight items to your residents that you might want to raise awareness for. And this will start going, the plan will be, it will be posted on Thursdays. Again, so we have a live agenda so that they can see the actual meeting date. But these changes.
Can you make sure the comms team uses an updated council group shot? Because that one is not the most current, as you can see. Councilmember
Mayor.
Peterson isn't in it.
Got it, Mayor.
Yeah.
Thank you. We
Okay.
will make sure that we have that. And at the bottom here, here's some examples. So we'll work with the comms team to have just different pictures relevant to the agenda items to be engaging for our residents to know what they are discussing. And thank you for that feedback.
I think it's outstanding.
Did you bring your pom-poms, Mayor? Was the thing I was most
I did,
excited
because
about.
This would have been a pom-pom moment, but I didn't know it was happening till now, and I'm just so happy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You're welcome. And
well-
that's the manager's report.
Oh, awesome. Colleagues, do you have any feedback, any comments? I just nothing but praise. Councilmember Peterson.
Thank you so much. This is really wonderful. I think it'll make things a lot more accessible. And I know Councilmember Twist and I are excited to be able to post more on our new Ward 1 Facebook page and get information out to our residents that way. So thank you very much. And I'm just wondering about if I were to go back to a past council meeting that was proposing a change to an ordinance, would it show the original with all the crossed out lines and the proposed notes, or would it show just what was decided and the finalized version of it? Does that make sense?
Let me make sure I understand. I'm looking at Attorney Rogers. So you're looking at, in a memo, do we include the red line of the changes between first and second reading? Is that correct?
So yes, if there was a meeting where we were proposing a change, would it show those proposed changes, or would it just show the finished product?
Councilmember Peterson, it would show the proposed changes. The
Okay.
ordinance would always have those strike throughs and lines. That's what council approves. When you go into municode.org, you'd see the clean product. Another reference point for those, if you're in the code and you're wondering when this last was updated, if you if there's a hyperlink to the ordinance and you click on that one, you're going to see that red line struck, the one with the strike through and bolds. That's
Perfect.
another resource too.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Councilmember Twist.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Brouillard. Thank you, Manager Hoffman, and staff that have all worked on this. I know we've gone round and round a bit to try to make things more accessible, but I really, really appreciate your efforts. And I wanted to add another thing that you've done that unless I missed it, you didn't mention, is making the titles of the agenda items more plain language. So the big example that I can think of was the, restrictions or whatever for commercial or oversized vehicles. Now it says RVs because that's what we're talking about. But thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Well, again, well done. Thank you, Ms. Brouillard and team. Moving on to in the report section, Attorney Rogers, do you have a report?
No, thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Council's consideration of the consent items is next. The clerk will now read the consent item by title and items will read by title, and there'll be one opportunity for public comments and council questions and comments. Will the clerk please read agenda items 6A through 6F by title?
6A, approval of minutes for the regular council meetings of June 2nd and June 9th, 2026. 6B, proposed resolution number 2026-40, authorizing and approving this Scientific and Cultural Facilities District SCFD funding allocations for the 2026-2027 funding cycle. 6C, proposed resolution number 2026-91, authorizing and approving the purchase of equipment and services for the installation of HVAC equipment at the Paul Durda Recreation Center. 6D, proposed resolution number 2026-90, approving the First Amendment to the consulting agreement with Martin Inc. for the Industrial Lane Bikeway Phase 2 Improvements Project. 6E, proposed ordinance number 2300, updating the requirement of up-to-date vehicle registration as a condition of driving a vehicle in Broomfield to allow for accountability on either the driver or the registered owner. First reading. 6F, request for council executive sessions as part of the performance review process for the city and county manager, attorney, and presiding judge.
Thank you. We'll now proceed with public comments on consent. If any residents are using the call-in service, press *3 or *9 to raise your hand, and we'll start with in person. If anyone has any comments. All right, then I wanted to take a moment to mention the inclusion of item 6E, which is the first reading of an ordinance to address an ongoing issue of unregistered vehicles or vehicles with expired plates. This ordinance updates the language of the infraction to allow for law enforcement to issue tickets to either the owner or an unregistered vehicle or driver. This update will allow for accountability on either the driver or the registered owner. I want to highlight this item to demonstrate the City and County of Broomfield's continued dedication to public safety. In making this change to assist in the enforcement of expired registrations, we're further strengthening our commitment to maintaining a safe and law-abiding community. Does any member of council have any comments or questions on these items? Councilmember Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor. One of our residents, Matt Shepard, brought up some points that I would like to have addressed in public. I know there hasn't been a lot of time that this has been implemented already, but he was wondering if you've noticed in the past months how this has been implemented. Like, have there been problems with feeling like you had an obligation to ticket a driver that is not the responsible owner of the vehicle?
Before our staff answers, we have been noticing an increase in lack of registrations since COVID. So this has been an ongoing issue since 2019. heightened over the last, I would say, 3.5 years, and particularly heightened when we had about an 18-month spike along with our surrounding community as well as the state with stolen vehicles. So this was one of those items that were immediately identifiable, not necessarily by law enforcement, but certainly by our residents who are out on the streets. So thus the mayor's opening that it's really a resident-driven conversation. And with that, our fantastic motorcycle Sergeant Otteson is going to walk us through some of those additional questions that you have, Councilmember Peterson.
Thank you.
Sir.
Yeah, I'm Sergeant Otteson with the traffic unit. Typically, all of our registration violations had to go to state court prior to April when we did ordinance 2297. After that, we have moved the registration violations into municipal court. As far as my understanding, we have never issued a citation, a dual citation, meaning we're either targeting whoever is operating that vehicle, and that's the only enforcement we have done at this point is moving violations, with the exception of one of my traffic investigators went out and wrote like 3 or 4 right away before we got put the kibosh on that. But it's only been for moving violations now. People who are operating on the roadway without registered vehicles.
Okay. And now this will also apply to parked vehicles on city streets, though. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. But the fees are only municipal and not state fees now? Or like I'm sorry, can you explain how it used to go to the state, but now we're taking care of it ourselves? How did that work?
So it's different. There's a state system and a municipal system. So we weren't seeing a whole lot of benefits by charging into the state system. And we weren't making any changes. Since we have passed the ordinance, I think we are moving in the right direction in getting more registered vehicles on the roadway or getting unregistered vehicles off of the roadway.
Okay. Now, it says that dismissal upon compliance is possible if it's only been 4 months since the citation and the registration has been made up to date and a $30 fee is paid, an administrative court fee is paid. What happens after 4 months? If it's been 5 months, what is the consequence?
So it would just be a set fine schedule that they're required to pay. It doesn't matter if the plates have been renewed or not. They are still responsible for that fine.
And what does that fine generally run?
I believe that's $128.
Okay. Okay, I think the only other question I have is about the process for allowing people to know when it's time to register their vehicles. So I know that we already send out notices in advance, and most people can do that online or at a kiosk. They don't have to go into the motor vehicles department to do that. But if those don't get paid, is there any secondary notification that's made to follow up to find out if maybe it was sent to the wrong address or something?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your help.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Cohen.
Thank you, Mayor. Quick question. If you ever run for office and you walk the streets and go door to door, I can tell you, I think you probably had this experience. You come across a lot of cars that have expired temporary tags with, 2022 and 24, just way off expired. And I know if you want to get someone on a rant, you just mention that to anybody in the community and they will go off because it's a high irritation. So if we have this now new power, and I already know because I've already gotten emails from people saying, hey, over here, there's a car that's been expired, or these folks have lived here for 4 years, but their tags are Texas. Are you prepared for calls, or is there a mechanism for people to say, hey, this car parked over here the last 3 months is not this expired tags?
So about a year ago, we brought in a traffic investigator. So when he is not busy working on crashes, then he has the time to go out and enforce some of those. But it's also hand in hand with code enforcement. So we want to make sure that they're not working with these people to get their cars up to date and stuff like that. So it's a combined effort between code and police.
You want people to tell you where the unexpired?
We get that a lot, actually.
Okay,
Yes,
you might get more.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Last question. My understanding is that the unenforced or the expired tags is the #1 ticket, more than speeding. Is that true?
Yeah, they're very similar in statutes, are very similar in numbers. Our patrol officers will write a lot of expired plates. They don't do a lot of speed enforcement. The speed enforcement is typically only the traffic unit that you're seeing that do on a regular basis.
Well, I know the residents will really appreciate it if we see fewer expired temporary tags. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Anyone else? Well, I do appreciate you guys bringing this forward. We have received a lot of complaints from citizens about the lack of enforcement of tags. Does anybody track how, if someone doesn't renew, you know, we get the postcard, right? And you have your month or whatever to get it done. Do we track how many people are delinquent? Like, what, do you do any type of delinquency notice?
No, so you get you get the postcard, which is 30 days before expires.
Yep.
And then you have a 30-day grace period after it expires. So you have a 60-day time frame, and it's important to note that Broomfield's DMV, for any of the community members that have been to the DMV, our average wait time throughout the state is about 46 minutes. Broomfield is 12. So again, part of the conversation when we decided to modify those hours included extending the morning hours to accommodate what from a community perspective and also to expedite with the additional kiosks.
What time do they open? in the morning?
7:30.
7:30, okay. Yeah, because I made an appointment and I got there on time, and right before I could sit down, they called my name and I was in and out in less than a minute.
So you brought our
Appointments.
average actually to probably, I don't know.
No, the
7
appointment
minutes instead of
system
12.
is highly advised and
Yeah.
very efficient. They took me right away. So for those of you who want to be efficient. All right, well, thank you, officers, very much, and appreciate the update and the enforcement.
Thank you.
Before asking for a motion, I want to remind everyone that item 6F is a request for executive sessions, which requires 2/3 approval of council. Is there a motion by council that consent items 6A through 6F be approved? Councilmember Ward.
So
Thank
moved.
you. Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Twiz.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Mayor Pro Tem Lim.
I just wanted to say that on item 6C, I appreciated the discussion of the new HVAC system at Paul Dirda with its improved energy efficiency and lower operating costs.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Not seeing anyone. So then, no more discussion. Council, please cast your vote electronically. Councilmember Delgadillo, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. All council members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously. Ta-da, 10 to 0. Next, the first item under action items is the public hearing and council's consideration on second reading of an ordinance related to the length of the term of office for future mayors. I'll now declare the public hearing open. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
I know, oh, yes, okay, so Ms. Rogers does like when I do the introduction.
I do. I do like the intro.
Joining us this evening to walk us through this ballot initiative language is City County Attorney Nancy Rogers. Ms. Rogers, the floor
Thank
is
you,
yours.
Ms. Hoffman. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. As the mayor mentioned, we are here tonight talking about putting a ballot question on the ballot for the November election regarding the term limits and length of term for future mayors. This is an ordinance to refer a ballot question to the voters. It would be a charter change to change, again, future mayors to who currently have a term of 2 years to 4 years, and then it would limit terms to 2 years, so 8 years total. And just to be clear, this actually would not impact our sitting mayor right now. Her term ends on the 27th, and because of our current term limits and even these term limits, if they were approved, she would not be eligible. Next slide. This came about from a request for future action by Councilmember Cohen. And as I mentioned, we have a 2-year term and the proposal is to extend it to a 4-year term, but it would be limited to 2. So 6 years total to 8 years total. This is in 4.3 of our charter. This is just to approve the ballot question going to the voters. The voters have the ultimate approval of this question. So council could approve the ordinance and the voters could reject it. The measure would die. We had first reading in June. Next slide. So arguments in support of doing this is that Broomfield has grown significantly from a city of 6,500 to what we are now at 76, actually almost 80,000, and we're now a city and a county. 4-year facilitates the management of long-term projects, infrastructure, economic growth, and public safety. There's regional relationships with other elected officials that have 4-year terms, especially on the county organizations, the Municipal League, DRCOG, which is a transportation organization. And also the 2-year cycle requires constant campaigning. In this day and age, even municipal elections have intense and long campaigns. Longer executive terms are common in other municipalities. We have a chart if council would like to see those comparison. And those longer terms are associated with increased stability. Next slide. Summary of arguments in oppositions. Shorter terms ensure stronger accountability. You get to vote every 2 years for your mayor, and it potentially increases responsiveness to residents. Frequent elections maintain a close connection between the mayor and the current public opinion. 4-year terms may reduce civic engagement, maybe a deterrent to somebody deciding to run for mayor, and makes officials less attentive, arguably, to neighborhood concerns. Longer terms delay the opportunities for voters to address policy mistakes and controversial decisions and potentially vote out an elected mayor. Next slide. The potential ballot question would look like this. It would be clear that it's a charter amendment and you have a subheading, which would make it clear that this is about future mayor, a 4-year terms limited to 2 terms for future mayor. And it identifies in the question, currently the mayor serves a 2-year term. Shall this section be changed to make it a 4-year term, but be limited to 2 consecutive terms? And that would start in the election in 2027. Next slide. The actual change to the charter looks like this. It just notes that what I just said, we're 2 years until November 2027, and that would change if the voters approve this question. I do have a couple other resource slides with that comparison if people would like to see it. We also have a slide that shows that many of our mayors, in fact, almost all of our mayors were reelected, ostensibly serving 4-year terms anyway. There's only been, I think, 1 mayor that lost their election. And then we also have a slide on the next slide, and I can keep these up. Oh, I'm sorry. Go too late after the thank you slide. I apologize, James. Yes, this one. We can keep this up that shows who's got the terms of 4 years and who has term limits of 2 terms or 3 terms. So this is very similar to a lot of our communities in Colorado where mayors have 4-year terms. And if council would like to have those slides stay up a little bit longer, we can put those up. And then lastly, Mayor, if I can, I'd like to, as part of this presentation, although I didn't let him know this, since this was Councilmember Cohen's request for future action, if you'd like to add anything at this point. If not, I'm sorry, I put you on
I
the
can
spot
wait
like
till
that.
that's done. It's fine.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mayor. That's the end, and I'm available for questions.
Well, thank you. Well, we'll now proceed with public comments first. So please come up to the podium if you'd like to be heard on this item. State your name and neighborhood for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Hi, Kim Tuisinipansai from The Outlook. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council and City staff. I just have one question. Is there any consideration for non-consecutive terms? Are there any limits? Like, can people just come and go? Curious about that.
I can answer that. Yes, and they have. You can sit out a term and run again. So it's not like a presidential term limit. It is a temporary term limit, I guess you could call it. Thank you.
Okay, that was basically, oh, Roxy Jewell
You're
from
good to
Lockamore, sorry. That was kind of basically what I was going to ask about the term limit. Because I feel that if you ran 8 years and you were out after that, you should not be allowed to come back. So with the way it's written right now, I would vote no, which is not going to help the situation at all. But I would suggest that that gets changed to where they can only run for 8 years total. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to be heard? All right, we'll go to council questions next, but I have a quick question which kind of is presented by the timing. The November 2027 mayoral election will be an open seat. And so the people running won't know if they're going to be committing to 2 or 4 years, will they? If that ballot measure is on the ballot.
It'll be on the ballot in 26. So they'll know.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Okay.
We're not in 27 yet. We're not there.
There yet. Oh,
We haven't
darn.
all aged
Okay.
just a year in a moment.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Rogers. Colleagues, any questions? None. Okay. Don't see any. All right then. Then seeing no questions, the public hearing is closed. Next is council's consideration of proposed ordinance number 2309. Will the clerk please read the proposed ordinance by title?
7A, ordinance number 2309, submitting to a vote of the registered electors of the city and county of Broomfield at the coordinated election to be held on November 3rd, 2026. A proposed amendment to section 4.3 of the Broomfield Charter regarding the term of office for future mayors.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on second and final reading and order it published in full? Councilmember Cohen.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Hinkle.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor. As someone who is looking forward to having to run a campaign this year and next year in order to keep this seat, I am viscerally familiar with how distracting and time-consuming and expensive campaigns are. And for that reason, I personally would love to see the time extended, but it is telling that a similar ballot measure failed by a significant margin. And several residents have spoken out about that in opposition, all in opposition. And they aren't concerned about the term limits. They really want the opportunity to be able to vote someone out after 2 years if they don't like them. And though that hasn't happened yet, it doesn't mean that it won't. And so though an approval tonight still leaves that final vote to the public, it seems clear that several residents have spoken already, and the interest does not justify the process of adding another measure to the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Cohen.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, I was going to address that issue since we've gotten some emails. I wanted to note, one, the proposal came from the Citizen Charter Review Committee, not from council, but in 24, we sort of made a mistake as there were 7 charter items on the ballot. And one, which was 2A, read that should we extend and change, if I can get to it, my poor eyes. Oh, sorry, 2B. Shall the charter be amended to limit the mayor and limit the council members to no more than 3 consecutive terms of office? And then there was the one on the council, on the mayor's term, pardon me, which was worded, shall it be amended to provide a term length for the position mayor be extended from 2 to 4 years? And so what we did here was there was some confusion since there were 2 measures talking about the mayor in terms of 3 consecutive terms, and then another measure talking about limiting the mayor to 2 terms, but having 4 years. So we heard in the aftermath of that election, some confusion over what we were asking them. So this is an attempt to clarify and be very clear as to what the Citizen Review Committee proposed to us was to extend the mayor's term to 4 years, as most of our peers have, and then limit them instead of 3, but to 2 terms. I wanted to note, since a lot of the emails also came from Broomfield Taxpayer Matters, in terms of how dare we bring back a ballot issue so quickly. I think a lot of people are big fans of Tabor. Tabor was approved by voters in 1992, after it had been on the ballot in 1986, 1988, 1990, and it passed on its 4th attempt. And I think the folks who wrote to us would be very upset if we took Tabor off the books. So there's precedent for bringing issues back. There's no rule that you can't. And I think there should be a ballot measure this fall to repeal something that was approved just a few years ago in terms of wolves. So the citizens have the power to decide this. I think this is an opportunity. Why I brought it back is that I think there was some confusion. It was a very packed ballot with 7 charter amendments and 2 that seemed to, in some ways, conflict with each other. So to address those issues, I think this is an opportunity to put the issue that the Citizen Committee asked for to the vote in a much more clear manner. And in closing, I was just going to note on the other slide, which I appreciate this, the turning one up, that the mayor, we have had, I think, 11 mayors. The average term of length has been 6 years. So everybody has served more than 2, except for the one exception, which I mentioned last time, was a gentleman named Mr. Schultze and a gentleman named Mr. Schertz. And they both had Z's and U's and SH's in their names, and there may have been some confusion that Mr. Schultze unfortunately only served 1 term. But I asked you to pass this. I think it's worth giving the voters another opportunity to vote on this measure.
All right, thank you very much. Any other discussion from my colleagues? None? We'll move forward. Oh, Councilmember Henkel.
Thank you. Yeah, I like this just because it was brought forward by the committee as well, and we just want to make sure it's clear and separate from others. Another reason too is that the mayor's job is quite large, and to do an election every 2 years, it's like you're constantly running for office. And I think it's a good way to serve the people in a way that's just more consistent for 4 years. I will also say that it's just more congruent with the city council members as well, and then you're more likely to focus on your job versus every 2 years running for office. It takes a good year to even run for office. So literally you're running for office half the time that you're in the mayor position. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Nope. Okay, seeing no further discussion, we'll move forward to the vote on ordinance number 2309. Council, please cast your vote electronically. Councilmember Delgadillo, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. All council members have entered their vote, and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes 9-1 with Councilmember Peterson voting against. Next, our next item under action items this evening is council's consideration of 2 resolutions containing amendments to agreements related to the police building expansion. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Thank you, Mayor. And joining us at the podium is Ms. Katie Allen. She is the Director of Community Development. Ms. Allen, please walk us through this. And as council knows, we are having the shovel groundbreaking imminently. I believe it's on the 21st. Miss Allen.
Thank you, Manager Hoffman. Katie Allen, Director of Community Development. And yes, tonight we have two agreements in front of council related to the construction of the proposed police building. I think everyone on council has seen this project either in a past approval or at our public meeting, but I'm going to do a quick overview before getting into the details of these two contracts. Next slide, please. Okay, so the new building is going to be on the southeast corner of Tacoma Drive and East 3rd Avenue, right where the solar panels are. I'm sure you're familiar with it, just west of the existing police building and northwest of our building right here. It will be 2 stories, approximately 85,000 square feet. The parking lot is shown in the drawing. It has a small public parking lot right on the southwest side, about 10 spaces. There, we're going to reconstruct what we're calling the CCOB fleet spaces. That's the parking lot just west of this building. That's coming out, but will be rebuilt in a slightly different orientation. And there are 238 secured parking spaces being either built or rebuilt just east and south of the building. We are meeting the EV building code requirements. There will be 3 EV installed, and with all the required EV ready and EV capable spaces per code. The light gray triangles are solar car canopies, and the site is designed with 3 rain gardens for our stormwater detention and water quality aspects of this project. Next slide. These are some cool renderings of the building. Bird's eye oblique aerial taken from what would be the swim and tennis club. The one to the right is a perspective from the corner of Tacoma and 3rd Avenue. And then the one at the bottom is if you were walking into the front of the building. Next slide. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the energy efficiency aspects of the building because we are proud of what we've been able to accomplish. The project will have a 10.4% energy savings above the Colorado Low Energy and Carbon Code reference with our PV canopies. Our anticipated energy use index is 46.6, which is below a project such as this. Typical is 77.1. Our mechanical system uses a packaged heat pump rooftop units with gas backup. So this is essentially an electric powered building. Gas is the backup. And this system was chosen so it can serve the loads of a 24/7 facility. And it's easy to maintain. The building envelope was evaluated in depth, so where the glazing is, shadows, daylighting to minimize overall energy costs. And the majority of the building uses what's called CLT, cross-laminated timber, which is a renewable resource, and it significantly lowers the carbon footprint of our building. Next slide. Okay, so to the amendments. So our architect is Anderson Mason Dale. In March 2025, council approved their contract through construction documents, which is really gets us just to where we are today. At that time, we told council that there would be more, that we need them for bidding assistance, and we need them there throughout construction as well as when we close out this project. And so that amendment is amendment number 3. Is proposed resolution number 2026-88. And that amount is $1,900,210. And that's what they told us it would be back in March of 2025. So there was no surprises there. Next slide. Our contractor is FCI Constructors. This building is following a process called Construction Manager General Contractor. It's pretty much the industry standard for how you build a building, and it's what Broomfield has done on all of its buildings for 30 plus years. So what that means is we do an RFP for a contractor well before we're ready to construct. And so this RFP was released last summer. We picked FCI based on the number of police buildings they built and also because they were the lowest fee. And they've been on board with us for about 9 months, working through the design, doing cost estimating, giving us recommendations for cost savings and constructability. So it's a big help using this process. They have bid the work and they have offered what's called a guaranteed maximum price of $67,090,837. And this is within our budget. It was lower than our initial estimate, so we're very pleased. And really what the GMP means is for the scope of the work described in the plans, they won't go over that unless there's new scope, something else that wasn't in the plans. So it shifts the risk to them. There is an incentivized savings. So if the project does come under budget, there's a shared savings right there with Broomfield getting 60%. So resolution number 2026-67 is amendment number 2 with FCI to build this project. And I think that's my last slide. Oh, no, we have one more. Next steps. Groundbreaking, July 21st. And then if approved, the project's really going to start at the end of July. We'll start seeing fencing going up and trailers going in. Yeah, it'll take about 21 months to complete, and hopefully they're moving in April 2028.
Awesome.
And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Allen. We'll now proceed with public comments. If anyone would like to be heard, please make your way to the podium. State your name and neighborhood for the record. And limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Rox Jewel, Lackamore. Once again, I'm just going to repeat my thoughts on the problem that you don't have underground parking. It is also a safety factor too, that we are not going to have that. I've been to a lot of other smaller facilities and stuff. And one of the things that they have found out that when they did build their new facilities within the last 5 years, they wish that they did put it in underground parking. In our cases, snow will be a problem, rain can be a problem, transporting people from one place to another can be a problem when you don't have underground parking. I know they didn't want it. They said they couldn't afford it, but that's excuses. And like I said, I went ahead and actually went out to smaller communities that actually have built their stuff in the last 5 years, and that is one of the things that they do regret. So as far as I'm concerned, we'll be behind the times. Once this is built, it'll be perfect. It's more than what we have now, but it won't be good enough for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, I'll go to council questions next. Do any of my colleagues have any questions? Mayor Pro Tem Lim.
Well, could staff address Ms. Jewell's concerns about the parking situation, and will there be enough parking in the future? What were the considerations regarding the parking?
Ms. Allen, I'm going to start that conversation just from a dollar perspective. So we've had a lot of conversations about structured parking. So you have surface parking and you have structured parking. Structured parking is almost $75,000 a space. Exponentially higher when you go underground. So yes, if the community had a higher tolerance and capacity, and council indicated that we had about $15 million more to spend just on the parking, we could have explored an underground. I don't even know if that amount would have gotten us, particularly with the soils. We continue to have conversation about the shifting soils, and when you do go, we've all seen it. What happens even with a basement. So it is a significant engineering feat. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Allen.
I think the only thing I would add is we have adequate parking. We don't have a lot of parking. I don't think we have parking extra parking for well out into the future, but this building is being built on a campus, and I think campus-wide parking would be evaluated for a future structure, but not necessarily just for this building in the secured area.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson.
The police building and the courts are all being renovated, and there was money taken out for all of that. And I just want to confirm that the increase that we're looking at right now is still just from the budget for the police, and it's not taking away from money that was earmarked to be spent for renovating the courts.
That's correct. We went for the full amount to be able to do both. So the redevelopment of the existing courthouse will commence when PD is moved into the new building, because we have to have that empty space. So we continue to work with the 17th Judicial District. I can tell you that Chief Dev Seardorf has been really fantastic to work with. We continue those conversations, and Miss Allen and her crew continue to have those walkthroughs and adjusting for really having a set budget. And so oftentimes the judicial district, Councilmember Peterson, is not accustomed. They do a market analysis first and say, here's what we would like, here's what it looks like, and then they price it out. We didn't take that approach in Broomfield. We said, here's what our bond amount is, here's what your portion is. Keep that in mind as you're moving through, so that we don't have to go through a laborious exercise at the end to be able to say, give us your priorities, because we're not going to be able to meet the rest. So we have backed into that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other question? Well, I want to know what's happening with the basement.
With the basement at the
Here, is there issues with the underground part?
oh, no.
Oh,
No, I just mean basements in homes, like when
Oh.
we constantly are, no.
I misunderstood. That's good.
No,
Okay.
the only, I can say the only thing about the basement I know for any of the department heads and community that's listening is, I would say within the next 2 years, we will be coming back to council to have additional conversations about our elections. Who has now taken up the entire basement, which makes it extraordinarily difficult from an ADA perspective for our judges, many of whom are seniors, to, so that's just a side note. But no, we're not having any structural issues with our
Okay.
basement.
Good to know.
Thanks for clarifying that in case anybody else thought that there
Yeah,
was
no.
connecting those dots.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Sure.
All right. No other questions? Then next is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2026-67. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7B, Resolution Number 2026-67, approving the guaranteed maximum price amendment to the construction manager general contractor agreement with FCI Constructors, Inc. for the construction of the police building expansion.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Don't everybody go at once. Mayor Pro Tem Lim.
So moved.
All right, thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Henkel.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, council, please cast your vote electronically. Councilmember Delgadillo, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. All council members have entered their vote. And I think so. Mayor Pro Tem, yours didn't go yet. Okay, now it is. Now the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously, 10-0. Thank you all very much. All right, and then we're on 7C. Our final item. Oh, I missed a 7B. How did I do that? Is there 2 items on this?
So we're on 7C.
788.
Oh, that was 7B.
There's 2 resolutions.
2 resolutions.
I see. Oh, yeah. Okay, so sorry, but okay, we'll get to that now. Then we voted on that one. This is just a little confusing. And we're on 6-7 now. We did 6-7.
We did 6-7.
Now, next is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2026-88. Okay, will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7B, Resolution number 2026-88, approving the third amendment to the consulting agreement with Anderson, Mason, Dale Architects, PC, AMD for the police building expansion.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Mayor Pro Tem Lim.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Henkel.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Being none, council, please cast your vote electronically. Councilmember Delgadillo, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. And all council members have voted. The results will be displayed on the screen, and that passes unanimously too. Thank you all. Have a good night. Our final item under action items this evening is council's consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor to review and sign the 2026 abstract of assessment. This item is a Board of Equalization item, and as a reminder, council is the Board of Equalization. So a vote by council on this item is a vote of the BOE. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Thank you, council. And making his way down is our assessor, Jay Yamashita. Always an enthralling presentation. We always look forward to it every year, Mr. Yamashita.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Jay Yamashita, Assessor. This report is submitted pursuant to 39.8.105, parent 1 and parent 2 of the Colorado Revised Statute, which states that the assessor shall report to the Board of Equalization the valuation for assessment of all taxable property in the county. Current status, we had 60 non-filers of personal property this year. As far as upcoming processes, over the next several weeks, Broomfield will complete the protest of the property valuations for both real and personal property for 2026. The City Council appointed hearing officers will conduct the hearings and make recommendations to City Council no later than August 5th of 2026 for the final determination. As the period between the conclusion of the protest hearings and the deadline for the delivery of the abstract of the assessment is short, staff is requesting that the mayor be authorized to sign the 2026 abstract of assessment when completed by staff after the completion of the hearings and prior to the deadline of August 25th, 2026. Proposed Resolution 2026-76 BOE would provide this authorization for the mayor to sign the 2026 abstract of assessment once completed. And this is the same process that was followed in prior years. Now we're going to get into the numbers. So this is the assessed value change between December 31st, 2025 and June 30th, 2026 after assessor level appeals. So for 2025, real property was valued, and this is assessed value, $2,033,204,070. For 2026, that number was $2,018,152,020, and that's a change of $15,052,050, which is a 0.74% decrease. Personal property for 2025 was valued at $161,109,550. And for 2026, that number is $156,821,190 for a net change of $4,288,360 or negative 2.66% change. State assessed for 2025 was valued at $74,141,800. And for 2026, that number is $71,396,240, showing a net change of a negative $2,740,560, or a negative 3.7% change. Oil and gas for 2025 was $147,851,300. And for 2026, that number is $98,012,010. which is a change of negative $49,839,290, or negative 33.71% change. So as we look at total taxable value for 2025, less exemption, we're at $2,679,027,280. For 2026, we were at $2,605,560,360. Now, the net change value there was negative 73,466,920, or negative 2.74% change overall. So non-reappraisal year implications is important to note that the 2026 is a non-reappraisal year, and the only value changes allowed for the tax year 2026 will be due to assessment rate or value adjustment changes made by the state legislator, new construction, in example, new homes, commercial buildings, subdivision of land, additions and renovations and tenant finish, and other modifications to the property. There's also some additional information that you can read just about how we come up with our best information available values. And that's what I have. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Yamashita. Next is public comment. If anyone would like to speak on this item, please make your way to the podium. Seeing none, we'll go to questions from council next. Do my colleagues have any questions? Mayor Pro Tem Lim.
Thank you for the answers to my questions. We received them kind of at the last minute, so I didn't get to reference the state's information that you referred to. So honestly, I'm always scrutinizing that oil and gas is paying its own way. So what stood out to me was that the Elevation Midstream Pipeline Company had done quite a bit of appeals, and that we had reduced their tax allotment. So is this did we do some investigation? Are they, this functional obsolescence that they're claiming, is this standard that they would do this in any community, that we're not getting cheated here?
Yeah, no, typically they do that in all counties that they provide. Again, this is done by agents, so it can be based on different counties, but we know K.A. Andrews specifically represents the company that you're talking about. And so they file every year for functional obsolescence. Now, other agents with other companies do not file for this. So it's one of these, because it's a self-reporting tax, we just have to go with what they tell us.
Okay, so if this is something that we know this representative files every year, then we're anticipating that it will be appealed in some way next year? Or?
Right. For whatever reason, they cannot get us that data in the upfront when they originally file with us, because those are due April 15th of every year. And for whatever reason, this company cannot do that for us on the front end to get that valuation correct on the front end. So they do it through the appeal process.
Mr. Yamashita, if I may, Mayor Pro Tem Lim, one of the areas that we can correlate with the data is production, right? And so we know, and we have seen a dramatic decrease over the last 2 years of property tax based on not only the valuation, but on that production level. So historically, from all wells, you're going to have 4 years of really hot. So you're going to have short, and then you'll see a big spike, and then it'll plateau. And then the drop is not generally gradual. They're big, steep drops. And that's exactly what we're seeing. That's what we're estimating into the 2027 budget and beyond. Oil and gas used to pay, I don't want to say pay its own way, but that will also invert. And primarily that's based on that production. So you have the same size pipe, you just have 50% of product that was of what was going through previously. And so again, while our reports are delayed due to the assessment, and then the response is with the appeals, we are able to correlate with that production amount to ensure that it's not a fast and loose system. So there's other ways to document for us to plan even prior to those appeals of where the direction that this is going. So, and as production decreases, we are more and more accurate with the amount of production. Does that make sense?
Yes. So I guess, well, I noticed Extraction had a lot of appeals last year, and they don't have those appeals listed this year. So I guess we were estimating, or they were estimating correctly. Go ahead.
So the 33 appeals that came from extraction would help to deal with the personal property oil and gas equipment itself. It had to do with the NERF upload, the upload into the system, which is provided by us on an annual basis by the oil and gas people. We upload the NERFs that they provide to us, and that's what creates the valuation for us. And so there was an error in the NERF for them. And so that's why Elevation had 33 accounts that they appealed last year, was for the equipment. not the
Okay.
pipe.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much.
You bet.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you. I think I asked this question last year, but I just want to hear the explanation again on the non-filers
Mhm.
and how that can be a strategy to put the onus on the city to evaluate their property and just how they get away without doing that.
So meaning that, so the non-filers obviously automatically go on our audit list first thing, because that's our first priority, is to go out and audit them to see whether we can get that equipment list from them or do a physical inspection to see what kind of equipment's out there. And secondly, what happens if they do not file or give us the information, we do the best information available. And that's why that information is provided in this packet, so that you know that is the way we arrive at a value for somebody who does not file a declaration with us.
And is that like a strategy on their side? Is it just that they don't have the ability to file, or you have no
they
idea?
just-
They
Yeah,
just don't file.
sometimes,
Okay.
you know, because we deal with a lot of out-of-state companies, they go to their corporate offices and sometimes they do nothing with it. Sometimes they do something with it. And again, it's a self-reporting tax. So what we do is we send them the forms. The difference being is it's up to them to send them back to us with the equipment list.
Well, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council? All right, the next is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2026-76 BOE. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7C, Resolution Number 2026-76-BOE, authorizing the mayor to review and sign the 2026 Abstract of Assessment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Councilmember Ward?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Mayor Pro Tem Lim?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right, council, please cast your vote electronically. Councilmember Delgadillo, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. All council members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously. Does, trust me, it really does. There it is. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Yamashita. The next item for business for council's consideration this evening is a request for future action brought forward by council members Twist, Anderson, and Henkel related to a modification to council's flag policy to allow the display of U.S. Armed Forces and POW MIA flags. This is not a discussion on the topic, but instead an opportunity for council to provide staff direction on whether or not council desires staff to dedicate time and resources to this request. Councilmember Twist, would you like to kick it off since you sent the email?
Thank you, Mayor. As you mentioned, council members Anderson, Hinkle, and I are requesting future action to update our flag policy in order to display the U.S. Armed Forces branch flags, the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, and Coast Guard, along with the POW MIA flag. During the months of May for Memorial Day and Military Appreciation Month, and in November for Veterans Day. The service branch flags would be flown along with the U.S. flags during these times. This idea was originally raised by a Ward 4 resident, David Manley, who has generously offered to cover the cost of the flags in time for this Veterans Day. Staff is already familiar with a similar proposal recently brought forward by our Veterans Services Officer, Tim Hutchinson, who has been working with the Veterans Museum on this. If council is supportive, we'd ask staff to bring forward an updated resolution as soon as possible and begin coordinating with the resident and Veteran Services Officer to obtain the service branch flags prior to this November. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council members Anderson, would you like to add anything?
We'll just clarify that the Ward 4 resident, he would not be donating all the money, but working with the Veterans Museum to set up the fund. But there is there's certainty that there will be plenty of money that comes into that fund. So it will come from a multiple number of residents. Just want to clarify that, but thank you.
All right, Councilmember Henkel, anything else to add?
No, I appreciate moving forward with this. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Any public comment on this? We do allow public comment. If you'd like to be heard, weigh in. So thank you for that. All right, then questions from council, or if you don't have any questions, are there any objections to moving this forward? I'm not seeing any objections, so let's move it forward.
Mayor, this won't take a lot of staff lift to draft this up. So if it's okay to put it on consent, we can get it on a meeting pretty quickly.
Any objection to putting this on consent? Get it done quick? All right.
Right? You should see it by the end of August at the latest.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Rogers, and thank you all for bringing this forward. All right. So, is there any other business to come before the council? That concludes the business items. Anything else? There being no further business, the business meeting is adjourned. Council will convene for an executive session immediately following this meeting after a break. And once the executive session is complete, council will adjourn and will not return to the public meeting. So thank you all and have a good night.